Hello and welcome to our 8th session in this edit mode chapter, and in this session we are going to build some practical models. So to begin with, we are now going to build or start with making a simple teacup, and here I want you to understand how to build the models with right topology. So I am going to build the same model in two ways. The very first way is the amateur way of building this teacup using just Booleans. So to begin with, I will come into the Blender and I have the default cube. I will select it, press X and delete it. I will come into Edit, Preferences, and in the Get Extension, in the search window here, I am going to type Bool, and you have this Bool tool, and I am going to click on Install. So now I have the Bool tool installed. I will come here and choose View Details, so it is enabled. Now I will just press Shift S and see that the cursor is set to world origin, and then I am going to press Shift A, and in the mesh I am now going to add a cylinder, and in the creation parameter the only change I want to do is I want to increase its depth to 3 meters, and then press 1 and come into the front view and press 5 so that I am in the orthographic view. I will press Shift A, and this time I am going to add another cylinder, and you can see automatically it has the same parameters, and now only thing is I want to reduce its radius by 0.1 meters so that it is the thickness of it. So here I am going to just type I want to reduce it by 0.05. If I come into the wireframe view, you can see a thin thickness here, or I will make this 0.9 meters. I am going to press GZ and I am going to move it up by another 0.1 meter. So if I come into the shader view, you can now see there are two cylinders. One is bigger and another is the smaller. I will first select the smaller one. With Shift selected, I select the bigger one, and then I will press N, and in the edit you can now see this Boolean tool, and in this I am now going to click on the difference, and when I click on the difference, you can automatically see the inside portion is cut off, and then I will press 1 and come into the front view. So now we have the body of our cup ready. Now I need a handle for this, and to create this handle I will press Shift A, and I am now going to add a torus, and I am going to type or rotate X 90. I will rotate it by 90 degree, and then I will just scale it a little like this, and I will press G and move it here. So, or I will just scale it a little more like this, so that this cup, the handle matches the size of my cup. However, now I cannot use Boolean because half of this is coming inside the cup. I want this portion to be cut off. So for that I will press 1, I will select this, press GX and move it to the side. Now I will press Shift A, and in the mesh I am going to add a cube, and then I will press GX and I am going to move it like this, and I will place it, I will, if required, I will just scale it a little, and then I have to place it exactly to the center of this object. So I will select it, and here in the snapping I am now going to select the option edges, and then I will come into wireframe mode, and now I will select this, press GX, and when I move it I will align it exactly with this edge so that it is exactly at the center. I have to press Control to enable this snapping, and after this snapping I will come back to solid view, and now I am going to select this object, then with shift select the torus. So that torus is the active object, and now if I click on difference, you can now see this portion of torus is cut off. Now I will press 1 and I will press GX and move it close here, and when I am moving it again I will come into wireframe mode, and I have already enabled here edge. So I will just press GX, and as I move, if I press Ctrl, I will snap it to the edge of this cup. And now if I come into the solid state mode, I have my cup ready. So now I am going to select this cup and this handle, and then I am going to click on Union, and now this entire thing is now one single object. Press 1 and come into the front view, and only thing is I will just come into this snapping, and now I will choose grid and then press GZ, and as I move it I will just place it, pressing GZ, place it exactly over this grid, and you see the cursor is at the center. I will come into object, set origin to 3D cursor. So now if I press rotate, so this will be the origin point of this cup. I will right click and cancel it. So now I am going to call this object as Boolean cup. Now if I press tab and come into the edit mode, and in the wireframe mode, if I now explore this model or the topology of this model is not perfect. And what will be the problem that we are going to face is, if I press tab and if I come into solid mode, and if I just enable shade auto smooth, and then if I want to add some subdivision surfaces to it, I will come into the modifier, and I am now going to add a modifier called as subdivision surface. And when I add this subdivision surface, immediately you can see the structure of my cup. My cup is totally looking weird. This is getting disconnected, and all this is because this doesn't have the right topology. So whatever model we did is not the right way of modeling it. So to show you this example, I can also come here in the overview and enable the statistics, and you can see the number of vertices, edges and faces and triangles. And now I am going to create the same cup with the right topology. And even in this case, we will press Shift A and we are going to start with a cylinder. I will press numpad 1 and come into the front view, but this time we are going to do the entire modeling in the edit mode. So I will press tab and come into the edit mode, and now I am going to press G, Z, and I am going to move it by 1.5 units because this height is 3. 1.5 units will sit on this edge. Now I have created this and moved it, and then I will come to the face selection and I will just tilt it here and I will select this face, and then now I am going to use the Inset Tool, and the keyboard shortcut for this is I, and I am going to insert it like this, and I am going to insert it by 0.1 meter. And after I insert it, next I am going to come into the front view and then come into the wireframe mode, and now press E and move this down along the Z axis. And how much should I move? See, this entire length is 3 meters, so I have to move it by minus, in bracket, 3 minus 0.1, and if I press enter, see now this is above by 0.1 meter, and now if I come into the solid state and if I see this, my cup body is ready. I will press tab and show it to you. So this body is ready. Now I will press 1 and come into the front view. Now the next thing is, again I will press tab, and in the edit mode, I am in the edit mode, I will press shift A, and now I am going to add a torus. And here in case of torus, one thing I want to do is, I doesn't want so many segments. I am going to reduce the major segments to around 24, and minor segments I will keep it at 6. Okay. So now I am going to next rotate it along the x axis by 90 degree. And now I have my torus ready. I will press G and move it somewhere here. And now I doesn't want the full torus. I need only half of the torus here. So I will come into vertex selection mode, and I will enable toggle X-ray, and then I am just going to select all the vertices on the left hand side like this. So leave the right hand side and I select all the left hand side vertices, press X and delete the vertices. So now I got this shape, and now I will press 1 and I will select this entire block by pressing L on my keyboard. L means linked. Now I will press S and I will slightly scale it less like this. Then I will press GX and I will move it towards the cup. But now the only thing is, I am not going to attach it to the cup. Now I will disable this toggle X-ray, and then I will just place it GX and I will place it close to the cup. Now I am going to join this shape with my main shape, and to join this I need some extra geometry, because this has 6 vertices here, 6 vertices here, and to join it here also I need 6 vertices. And how are we going to create these 6 vertices? I will press 1 and come into the front view, and now I am going to press Alt A and deselect everything, and now here in the snapping option I will enable vertex, and then I will press Ctrl R, and I am going to add one loop cut like this, and I am going to click now, and I am going to move this, and when I am moving I will press Ctrl, and you can see it is snapping to this point, and I will release the mouse. So now I have snapped it to this. Now similarly I will again press Ctrl R, I will add one more loop, and I am going to move it, and this time I will press Ctrl and snap it to the bottom vertex. So now what you happened is, I have got some extra vertices here to join this cup. I will press 1, I will again press Ctrl R, click once, and as it is moving I will press Ctrl and snap it to this vertex. Then again press Ctrl R, click once, and as I drag it, snap it to this point. So now what happened is, in this cup I have got the required vertices here. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vertices, and even my handle also has 6 vertices. By chance if my handle had got 8 vertices, then I should have pressed Ctrl R and added one more loop cut here to make the number of vertices 8. So I will right click and cancel it now. So now what I am going to do is, I will come into the face selection mode, and I am going to select these 2 faces, press X, and I am going to delete the face. So now this face has been deleted. And similarly now I will move down and I will select these 2 faces, press X and I am going to delete these faces. So after deleting this face, now to make my work easier, I will select this, press L and I will select it and press H to hide it temporarily. And I will press 3 and come into the side view. I can now see these two loop cuts here. I am now going to come into the edge selection tool, alt click and select this entire loop here. Be careful when you are selecting it. You have to click it correctly, and I have selected it, and now we have the loop tool. So I will right click and in loop tools I will choose circle, and when I select the circle, you can now see it has got converted into a circle. So switch off radius and keep all other options as it is. And similarly, now I will move down and I am now going to select all the points. I will press alt click and select this face, and now again I will right click. I will now choose loop tools and I will select circle. And after I select this, I am now going to press alt H to unhide my hidden handle. And then now in this case, what I will do is, I am now going to select alt click in the edge mode this loop, then with shift alt I will click this loop. So both these loops are selected. I will come into the edge here and choose bridge edge loop, and you can immediately see this has been connected. I will do the same thing here at the bottom. I will alt click and select this loop, okay, and then I will again press shift alt click and select the other group, come edge and I will choose bridge edge loop. So now I have my cup ready. I will press 1 and come into the front view. I will press tab, and now I will right click and choose shade auto smooth. Now in this case, say for example, I am now going to add subdivision surface. So I will come into add modifier and in search I am going to select this subdivision surface, and now when I add it, you can see the difference. I am going to call this cylinder as right topology cup, and the other one is the Boolean cup. So I will select the Boolean cup here, press G, X and move it to the side. You can see the shape that it takes when I enable subdivision surface, and here you can see the difference, and this is what we call as the right topology. However, even in this case, you have some problem here. Say for example, at the bottom, you can see here you are getting this wrinkles. So to avoid it, I will press 1, press tab, and now coming into the edit mode. So temporarily I am going to click on this icon, two icons, switch off this subdivision surface. Now I am going to select the face selection and I am going to select this face, and then I will press I and I am going to just move it a little inside like this. Then I will again press I and move it little inside like this, and now I will press 1 and in the wireframe mode I will just press G, Z and slightly move it to the top like this. So I will slightly move it to the top by approximately around 0.03 units. So now I have a structure like this, and now I will switch off this X-ray mode, come back into the regular mode, and now in this case, if I enable this subdivision surface, now you can see those wrinkles are removed. You are no longer seeing those wrinkles at the bottom. Now the same thing I have to do on the top. So I will press Alt, I will again switch off this subdivision surface here, and then I will select the inner circle, or I will select the face selection tool and select the center face, and again here I am going to press I and I am going to slightly scale it down, again press I and scale it down a little, then press 1, and in the wireframe mode now you have to, I will enable X-ray so that I can see this inside. I will just move this GZ and move it slightly to the bottom like this. I will move it down by minus 0.03 units so that these two should not touch. Okay. So now once I have added it, now I will enable subdivision surface. I will come into the shader view, and if I see this, see right now you can see you doesn't have any distortion over here. And another thing is these edges what we are seeing, I doesn't want this to be a sharp edge. So I will press tab and I will temporarily switch off subdivision surface, and in the edge mode I will select Alt click and select this loop. With Shift Alt I will select the inner loop. I will select both and press Ctrl B to add a bevel. See, I will add a slight amount of bevel like this. See, I will add a bevel of around 0.03 and I will add some 3 or 2 segments. 2 segments is enough. So I have created this bevel surface here. Now similarly, I will also select the bottom edges here. This edge, I will Alt click and select this edge, Alt click and select this edge, Shift Alt and select this edge, Shift Alt and select this edge. Again press Ctrl B, and even in this case I am going to add a 0.03 bevel. So now you can see these edges are smoothened down, and similarly even inside I will press tab, I will press Alt and select the inner head, that is circle, press Ctrl B, and I am going to bevel this by 0.03, and with 2 segments I will press tab. And now if I enable the subdivision surface, you can now see this is appearing very smooth. And one last thing is I have some kind of issue at the handles here, and to solve this I will press tab and I will just press Ctrl R, and at this point here I will click and add one subdivision surface, add one loop cut, and I will slightly move it to the back and adjust it like this. And similarly I will press Ctrl or again I will add a subdivision surface here and slightly move it like this. And now if I press the tab, see now this cup appears perfectly fine with the application of subdivision surface. So now in the level viewport, even if I make it 2, see this appears completely smooth, and this is the right topology of building our model. So we have successfully created this model, and for this model temporarily I will come into materials, I will create a new material and I will call this as cup material, and then I am now going to add a slightly creamish color like this, slightly a creamish color, some creamish color like this. I will come into the shader view to see this correctly, and then I will slightly increase the metallic value little like this, and I I can decrease, see if I decrease it very much, it becomes very shiny. Okay, I will leave it at around 0.1 roughness, and metallic I will set it to 0.5, and now I have my perfect cup ready. And I will also select the second cup also, and I will give the same cup material, and you can see the difference of doing the modeling using Boolean and doing the modeling with the right topology. I am going to now come into the file, go to save as, name this as 3_8 teacup. I will give it the name as teacup or coffee cup, and I am going to save this. And now in our next session, let us improve our modeling skills by creating a real apple.